What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another episode of the Dossier, the Marvel Crisis Protocol show, where we talk about Crisis Protocol characters, their cards, what they bring to the table, and just generally what we feel about the models and where they fit in the game. Of course, this is not a comprehensive review show. This is just meant to get you chatting and talking about characters that you might not have thought about for a little while. And of course, these shows can't happen without the wonderful supports of our patrons over at patreon.com/aegisbrand Studios. Couple bucks a month keeps everything going, allows me to keep current with all the content, and allows me to feed my dog. So thank you so much. My dog thanks you for all that. So yeah, we are looking today at Ghost Spider. This is Gwen Stacey Ghost Spider. She has been a mainstay in the game for quite some time. And her model is very simple. I like that it really represents the sort of acrobatic nature of the character. It's got some good lines to it all. I like the addition of like the ballet slippers on the bottom there, the hood. The one thing I'm not huge on is like it's very shallow details around the torso and the webbing on the inner parts of the arms. Makes it a little tricky to paint up. But this was one of the earlier models. They were still kind of getting a feel for how to design a lot of these ones. So I mean, there's only so much that can be done with it. Overall, like I love the sense of motion and sense of just fluidness to the model, but there's not really a whole lot more I can really say about it. I think she's a perfectly fine model. I have no real complaints about her. Uh, she's serviceable. I don't think she's a bad model. Don't think she's a great model. She's just kind of there as a model in the game. But as far as what she does in the game, so she has 5 stamina on both her healthy and her injured side. She's a long mover. She is size 2, 3 threat, and she's got 3s across the board for her defensive stat lines. So she's a very basic 3 threat. That long move is absolutely great. As with a lot of the web warriors, mobility is key to what they want to do here. So it's really solid in that regard. She's got a physical attack called Spider Technique, range 2, 4 dice. It is a gainer, a builder, so you're going to gain power equal to damage dealt. And if the character has already attacked this target character during this activation, this turn, add 3 dice to the attack roll. So if you double tap, it becomes a 7 dice builder, which is kind of nice. And if the character has advanced or been placed during this activation this turn, after the attack is resolved, it may advance long. So it's a great way of like punching and getting out of dodge potentially. There's ways of trying to get this in there. For instance, if you use like a Storm Hop in X-Men, or you use Midnight Sun's Bump in the Night or something like that, there's a lot of different ways that can potentially get that long advance off of the Spider Technique, and potentially be able to double tap. But either way, it's a great ability for her to get out of dodge. If somebody's gotten a little bit too close, she can punch one and then run away if she really wants to. Then she's got a physical impact webbing, a very common attack we've seen with a lot of the web warriors. Range 4, 4 dice, 0 power. It is a gainer, so 1 power for when it's resolved, with a wild push. Size 2 or less, push away short from this character. Really great little bit of crowd control. Can't really complain about it. On 4 dice, that wild is tricky to get. I think I want to say a 45% chance, which isn't the best, but I mean, it is a great way of trying to get a little bit of control off there. And because she gains some power for it, it does help the rest of her kit kind of go online. Next up, we have a physical freestyle beatdown, range 2, 6 dice for 3 power. If this attack deals damage and the target character is size 3 or less, after the attack is resolved, the target may be thrown away short. The fact that it's a size 3 throw attached to this is really kind of cool and nice. It's a great sort of panic attack, for lack of better terms. 6 dice isn't doing a whole lot of damage, but even if you just manage to sneak one through, you're going to be able to throw that character away more often than not, which is really nice, especially if you still have your own movement to go with it or something like that, so you can kind of get away from dodge or something like that. Next up, we have an active power web line for 2 power. Push an enemy character within range 4 and in line of sight towards this character's short. A character can only be pushed by the superpower once per turn. So, important to note, it is once per character per turn, not once per turn. So you can actually web line a number of characters if you have the power to do so. Great way of displacing a bunch of enemy team members. She's a great late round activation. Maybe pull some people off some secures who they were otherwise safe. And it is an unrestricted size. So size 4, size 5s, you can grab pretty much anyone in that case. Next up, we have a reactive ability, and this is probably like her best ability that makes Gwen just so good. It's Lifesaver for 2 power. When an enemy character targets another allied character with an attack within this character's line of sight and range 4, you may use this superpower. Push the targeted allied character towards this character's short. If at the end of the push, the targeted character is outside of the attack's range or attacker's line of sight, the attack ends. If it is this character's activation and the attack did not target multiple characters, they may make another action. This superpower can only be used once per turn. So this is basically escort to safety, eye in the sky, trickster. It will save a character's bacon. And it is just such a good ability to use. And some important things to note, even if an ability ignores line of sight, if you break line of sight during that attack, basically it forces the attack to recheck it, and it usually ends the attack right there, which is actually a really big deal, because it doesn't say, you know it doesn't tell it to recheck. Rather, I should specify this. Basically, it says if it breaks line of sight to the attacking character, the attack ends. It doesn't care if the attack ignores line of sight. So the shield throws, the Helios lasers, all that sort of stuff, it will break that attack off and end it. And I've, especially with something like Eye in the Sky, I've ended many detrimental attacks because of that. As a result, it takes a little bit to wrap your noggin around, but it is absolutely a game-changing ability once you kind of understand it. And it makes Gwen just so good in the game. She is such a great character for protecting the rest of your team, and trying to get them into better position, more defensive positions. Just so good. Lastly, she has Wall Crawler. We all know what that does. Allows her to move over things larger than her without slowing down. So she is always getting her long movement unless she's slowed. So where does that leave Gwen in the game itself? Well, obviously she's a web warrior. I believe she's an A-Force. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But Gwen just fits into so many teams so well. I absolutely love her in Midnight Suns. I think she's great in any team that wants to be more aggressive but needs kind of like a pullback button. I played around with her a little bit in Weapon X to some fun success. I like her in X Force. I think just in general, she is a good character. Like that basically the eye in the sky on a stick that she has is absolutely phenomenal, and it keeps a lot of teams in the fight longer than they would otherwise be, because you can stop an absolutely bonkers attack. Now, it is important to note that the pay power step happens after the web or the lifesaver happens, so you can't siphon power away from characters by doing this, but it can still really change the dynamic of how things work. Maybe you save them from a charge or something like that, so they've spent the power for the charge, or maybe they've spent the power to add dice to their next attack rolls. It's just a great way of really messing with the action economy of the other person and just protecting your own team members. Hell, maybe even what you've done is you've just brought that character into sacrifice range, so now they can sacrifice into another character. I know I'm talking about lifesaver a lot, but that really is what kind of makes Gwen so very splashable. That and her 3 threat. She's great for going to grab an objective off in the distance, but she's also great for just kind of hanging back, impact webbing a whole bunch of people, and then lifesavering whenever she needs to. Definitely try Gwen out in a whole bunch of places. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about Spider Gwen in the game. Where you think she works, where she doesn't work, all that sort of stuff. And of course, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. And check out patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios if you would like to support the channel. A couple bucks a month keeps everything going. Or you can check out iWargame.net. Use code AegisBrand to save 10% on your next purchase. Thanks so much for watching. Happy wargaming.